Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to do a cornbread and chicken and dumplings for dinner. So you're going to get two recipes in one. First of all, I've got the oven heating at 400 degrees and I put my skillet already in there, my cast iron skillet, with a little bit of Crisco and also about 2 tablespoons of bacon fat. That helps season the crust of the bread. I'm also going to put some bacon fat into the cornbread. But first we're going to put the cornbread together. Let's see. My grandfather is the one that brought me up and taught me how to make this. So I'm going to use 3 heaping spoons, I'm using a wooden spoon, of cornmeal. And to that, I'm going to add only 2, and they're not heaping, about that much on each one, of flour to the mixture. Now, also to the mixture, I like to add an egg. Just put a whole egg in there. And, of course, a pinch of salt just brings out the flavor, gives it much more tastier. Doesn't add anything, it actually just makes the flavors more enhanced what I'm putting in. So we have just an egg, we have our cornmeal and our flour, and the remaining is going to be our buttermilk. I don't think I have enough in this one, so I brought out a second. Here. I'm going to show you the consistency. Well, yeah, that's not going to be enough buttermilk whatsoever. Make sure you shake up your buttermilk every time you use it, because a lot of the water comes to the top and the thicker milk sinks down to the bottom. Here we go. Like I said, the pan is already preheating. One of my favorite parts of the cornbread is the crust. And if you just pour this into a cold skillet and put it in, it's going to bake. It's going to be just about like a biscuit on the outside. But if you go ahead and put the skillet in and heat it up with some oil and baking fat, which I like to do, that's going to give it a real crisp crust and bacony flavor. So there you go. Let me show you here. You want it just a little bit thicker than waffle batter. Make sure you get all that goodness down. Now let me get my pan out of the oven. Gonna need a trivet to sit it on. It is going to be hot. I can smell that bacon. All right, and you will hear it sizzle as I put in the cornbread mixture. So we're already getting a crust on this cornbread. It's already starting to develop. Here we go. And we'll stick this right back in the 400 degree oven. It's going to take 30 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven. Like I said, I have it set at 400 degrees. So I'm just going to set a timer for about 25 minutes so I can watch it there. All right. So next we're going to put together our chicken and dumplings. I've already had my chicken cooking all afternoon, morning. Here I got nice thick stock now, really good stock. I'm going to put down in the recipe or in the comment section below the exact recipe. Basically it was just water, salt, pepper. I do put a little oregano in it, and then I put the chicken in with 2 teaspoons of a wet chicken base, and it just makes a rich broth. So I'm going to let that be there. Let's get rid of the buttermilk. Now I'm going to do my mom's version of chicken dumplings I was brought up on. She uses eggs in hers. Not a lot of people do, but I ate it all growing up, so this is what the flavor I'm used to. So what she says, she uses about a little bit more, 2 cups of flour, heaping cups full. Okay, so I have 2 cups of flour in here. I'm going to put 3 egg yolks. This is all she used to bind it together with just a little bit of water. Now make sure you get your water, make it ice water, put some ice in there. It helps pull this together, make it nice and tight, so when you roll it out, it all comes together well. So first of all, I'm just gonna get these eggs started mixing in. I really shouldn't pour red. Anytime I load the flour, I've got it all over me. So we're gonna start working this in slowly. We don't want a batter. We want a nice, thick, doughy consistency to roll out. So just get this all together. I remember growing up, anytime we had a family get together, holidays and such, the two things my mom always had to bring was her chicken and dumplings and her banana pudding. And there wasn't a time that those weren't on the table at family get-togethers or any of our holiday meals. I love Sundays when she would put this together. This is just one of those comfort meals like pinto beans and cornbread. Now you can see it's starting to come together a little bit. So we're gonna add some more, looks like we're gonna make the biscuits a little pea texture in there. We just want it just enough to come together so we can roll it out. And like I said, I've already boiled off my chicken. And once I put the dumplings in to the chicken stock and let it go, I'm gonna start picking all the meat off of the chicken. You could also buy a rotisserie chicken at the store if you don't feel like cooking one off. That's just as simple. I made it with chicken breast, any kind of chicken, chicken legs, chicken thighs, whatever you have, it's all gonna work great. But if you're not boiling the chicken in the stock to cook it, make sure you make some kind of good base with a chicken stock in it, added to it, instead of just plain water, so it does have flavor. This does take a little while to come together. Oops. Don't think we need the ice cubes, those aren't gonna work in there. So it looks like with the 3 egg yolks, looks like I ended up putting about half a cup to 3/4 cup of ice water in there. That still isn't totally come together. So let me get just a little bit more. This is one of those days that the kitchen is so hot because I have that chicken stock boiling. I have cornbread in the oven. That oven's at 400, so it's nice and hot in here. Okay, now we've got to come together. Let me move some of these things out of the way because I'm going to need my entire area here. And I'll explain what this chicken stock's for a little bit later. This is, I'm sure you recognize it from me making my biscuits. We want the flour out here because I don't want to stick to it. And then just turn your thick dough out onto the counter. And remember, if you get a little bit too much water in it and it's not as thick as you'd like, you can just keep adding more flour to it as you're kneading it here. Now I'm going to get the flour back up here because we're going to be kneading it. Flour my hands. Just get it floured pretty good. A little extra flour is not going to hurt because the extra flour from the dumplings as you put them in there, that's what's going to actually help thicken up the broth so you have a nice thick broth. Some people like more of a soupy dumpling. I like mine nice and thick, almost to the consistency you could eat with a fork. But just keep folding it over, adding flour so it doesn't stick, and until it's not wet and sticky anymore. There we go. There. Now it's coming together really well. Okay. And once we get it together like that, get your rolling pin. I'm not a big fan of traditional rolling pins. It's got like a, what is that, 2-3 inch dowel? And that's what I use for rolling out pie crust, anytime I can, my dumplings and such. Start in the middle and push it out in all the directions so you can get it, kept it pretty good size right in the middle of the board. We're going to take it down to about 1/8 of an inch. Put some more flour up here so it doesn't start sticking. think chicken and dumplings, pinto beans, and cornbread, I could live on those things. Those just basically bring back so many memories from growing up. I'm impressed. I don't have much flour on me. Usually I'm coated. Okay, I think we're pretty good here. Getting kind of close to the edge there, very careful. Like I said, if it starts sticking, just need to add a little bit more flour to it. There we go. All right, looks pretty good. Now at this point, we're gonna start cutting, and this is where I'll trim this all the way up to high, because I want a nice rolling boil. I'm gonna put it totally high. I'm gonna put about between 6 and 7. You wash my hands up. Since I'm doing an old family recipe, let's get some flour off of me. I'm gonna use my great grandmother's knife to cut this. My cousin Gladys gave it to me. She said she figured I was the only one in the family that would take care of it and appreciate it. So we're just gonna do these in about 1.5 to 2 inch squares. Just hold down at the end. They do not have to be perfect. They're not gonna look perfect. All you care about is the taste, and they're going to be heaven. Around this side. Sometimes I'll just use my pizza cutter. It's a lot easier. These are a little bit wet. Let me get some more flour over here. Move my flour up. Put this up. All done. Okay, I have them all set up, and we have a rolling boil over here in the pot. Take this lid off. As you can see, we don't want it just at a simmer. We want a complete rolling boil because we don't want these dumplings caking up and sticking together when they're in there. So, you know what I'm going to do is actually heat so I can get a few at a time and just toss them in. You're not going to stir these once you get them in. You never stir your dumplings because that's just going to make them cake up together, stick together, and you'll have a big clump of gooey mess. Crank that up even higher because it's starting to come down since I'm putting in. So just go around the side where you can see a place to drop them. As you can see, they're going to start floating already. I'm not going to stir them, I'm just going to push it back a little bit so I can get some more down in there. Now, earlier I said I was going to tell you about that 2.5 cups of chicken stock there. Like I said, I like mine nice and thick, but sometimes I get a little bit too much in there, too thick, and I have to add some more chicken stock. So I just take about 2 cups out, a little bit more. That way I can just add that back in as I need. Keep getting all these on. And I did use a all-purpose flour, not a self-rising. So some people like using self-rising. I've seen they said that makes their dumplings plump up more. As you can see right here, mine are already clumping up in here just from that cold water, and it hits that boil and it starts going. So I'm not stirring, all I'm doing is pushing down a little bit. I'm gonna put the lid on it. Once I hear it coming to a full boil, I'm gonna turn it down and just let it simmer. Every so often I'll shake the pot around, or take my spoon around the outside and just make sure everything's moving well. So I'm gonna let them go. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up here, pull the chicken off the bone, and we'll come back when it's ready to put together. The cornbread is done. Get that out of the oven. There you go, look at that. And let me get another glove on here because this is hot. And probably, let me take this just around the sides. Oh, I should have made it. Doesn't look like I do. Now I'm going to turn it out on a cookie cooling sheet. You're not going to leave it in the pan because it's going to keep cooking and the moisture is going to condense on there. It's going to make it a soggy crust. And this is why I never wash my skillets. Cornbread falls right out. Look at that, nice and clean. The crust is going to stay nice and crisp. I'm going to move that up here so we can finish working on our chicken and dumplings. While we were gone, I went through and pulled all the chicken, or 99% of the chicken off. I like to leave it a little bit on because I'm going to use that again, cook it down, make some more stock. The 2 cups that I showed you earlier, I didn't use, plus a little bit more that was in the pan that I boiled it in. So I'm just going to put this is liquid gold. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. I'll be cooking with that this week. Our dumplings are cooked and nice and thick. The sauce or the stock is nice and thick, it's not real soupy. So once we get to here, I'm just going to add back in the chicken. Not sure if it's going to take all of it. If it doesn't, I can make a chicken salad sandwich out of some of it. Be nice. Stir some of this in. But I do like to get big pieces of the chicken in here. I didn't chop it down real fine. I left it in pretty good chunks. What I think that looks pretty good right there. So the rest of this is going to end up being a chicken salad for me later this week. All right, finish it off. I just like to put a little parsley, dried parsley in there, just to give it a little color. Okay, let me dip some of this out of here. See how nice and thick this is with all this chicken. Nice, thick, fluffy dumplings. I think the reason Mom used egg in it is because the egg actually helps them fluff up a little bit so they're not real thin. Get some more chicken in there. And there you go. There's our homemade chicken and dumplings to go along with our beautiful buttermilk cornbread. You guys have to give this a try. Like I said, this is a meal that I grew up on. I can eat it every week. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to put the recipe down below in the comments section. And I hope you all have a good day. Happy Sunday. Bye.